Hey, it's the Dragos, the almighty Dragos. You know, that kind of brings me back to my whole point about Hinawa and Klaus coming back, because I think most people, if you suggested the idea of the Dragos being reborn or being not reconstructed, but just the idea of the Dragos coming back, most people would have no problem with that. But then when you talk about, Hinawa and Klaus coming back, then all of a sudden people have a problem with it, and I don't get that. Because it doesn't make any more sense for the Dragos to come back than it does for Hinawa and Klaus. Klaus, whatever. People say, well, they died before everybody else did. Because only the people who died when the island was destroyed got brought back. I don't see why it matters when you died, because like I said, the Dragos died at a different time too. They were dead by the time we got to Chapter 5. So it wouldn't make sense for them to come back either, but most people wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, my theory is that most people would have no problem with the Dragos coming back because they don't have fanboys, and if you bring back Hinawa and Klaus, that makes the fanboys happy, so that would suck. But bringing the Dragos back wouldn't make the fanboys happy, so that would be okay. The thing is that when I first played this game, it just got to me so much because it's like I wanted to know that there were other people in the world who believed that Hinawa and Klaus were alive. Because it's like, the game is basically leaving it up to you to decide what happens, so when you say, well, Hinawa and Klaus are dead, it's like you're saying you want them to be dead. If the game's gonna let you decide, and that's what you decide, why would you choose that for them, that fate? I don't see why you would. I mean, I understand how people say, well, it kind of, ruins the ending, but that's why I tried to make that whole case about them being murdered back in Chapter 1. I tried to explain how, well, that was murder. I mean, if I did something like that in the real world, programmed an elephant to do that kind of thing, and it went out and killed somebody, if not for me doing what I did, the person wouldn't have died. Their death was like a direct result of my actions, so I think like I said, it's not too hard to argue that it's murder. You might even say that what happened to Klaus was worse than murder. They kept him alive just for the sole purpose of getting back, at Lucas, or pulling the needles, or whatever it was, trying to take advantage of his power, and it's just like... But that's why I was making such a big deal out of that back in Chapter 1. I was saying they were murdered, and I wanted to... I guess I was just trying to establish, that it was murder, so that I could use that for leverage later when people would say, well, you can't bring them back because that takes away the meaning of their deaths, and I could say, well, hey, there's nothing meaningful about murder. And if I had previously established that, it would have made me a lot easier to make this point now, but obviously I got like twice as many people watching now as were watching back then, so I don't know. But that's what I thought. But then some people say, well, it takes away the meaning of Hinawa's sacrifice, and that's why I said back in Chapter 1, she didn't sacrifice herself, she risked her life. That's what the game says. It says she risked her life. It doesn't say she sacrificed herself. And there's a huge difference there between sacrificing yourself, which is basically suicide, and risking your life, which implies you have a chance to live, a chance of succeeding. But in my ending, Hinawa and Klaus are alive, so... And if that's not your cup of tea, then I understand. I mean, I do. I'm not going to question you on that because you disagree with me, but... Yeah, so that's pretty much it for my LP of Mother 3. I don't know if I'm still going to do that whole animation thing. See, what I did is, before I even started this LP, I had this big old animation that consisted of several drawings that I put together in MS Paint. And I was going to set it to the song Chariots of Fire, okay? And it was like this whole animation of Flint Awakening. Like, you might have seen the flashes in Earthbound, in my Earthbound LP, where I flashed little pictures up there of, like, Hinawa hugging Lucas and Klaus, or Flint looking out of the sea saying, "Are we back?" Or that other one where Klaus is saying, "Are you sure?" to Lucas. All of those were part of this big ending that I had made in MS Paint, and I made it, and I got, I guess, 2 minutes worth of it done. And I had it set to that song, Chariots of Fire, and then I just stopped, and I waited a while, because I thought, well, I'm going to wait till I'm closer to the end of my Mother 3 LP to actually finish this. But as time went on, the drawings stopped looking as cool to me because they were MS Paint, and I came up with these other drawing programs that were better than MS Paint, so I always told myself, well, I'm going to start over with this ending, and I'm going to do it in something else besides MS Paint. And I never got around to that, so here I am finishing this LP now, and having no ending to post up here, and I'm not going to post what I had there because that was garbage. It really was. I think I've probably erased it already by now. But, I might still do something, but I think most people would probably not like it because of the whole Chariots of Fire thing. It's like I'm trying to Americanize it or something. You know, and when you Americanize something, you totally take away all its credibility. You know, that's the mindset. It seems like it anyway. I don't know. So I don't know if I'm actually going to do that or not. I might just do a few clips here and there randomly later or something. But, you know, if I feel inspired to. But I was really inspired to at first. I spent all kinds of time on that. But anyway, yeah, I did that, though, because I was motivated to create an ending in which Hinawa and Clouds were alive, because I needed them to be alive. And I needed other people to believe that, because if other people didn't believe that, I couldn't live with the world the way it is, because I can't live in a world where people want to believe that they're dead. I just can't understand why someone would want that for them. I can't even begin to fathom it. I mean, if it's because there's nothing but selfishness would lead a person to have that, I mean, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be selfishness that causes the person to think that? Because you need them to suffer too so that you don't feel alone? Or, you know, because how do you know that's not what God's doing to us? I don't know. I mean, if there is a God, I probably shouldn't bring him into this debate, I guess. It's kind of getting too close to the end of the game anyway for me to be doing that. But, you know. But when people say, you know, they don't like happy endings, it's probably because they're not realistic. You know, because we don't have a lot of happy endings in the real world, so people don't want them in their fiction either, I guess. And that's why every time someone asks me, why does God allow so much suffering in the world? I tell them, well, because we do. Because we like it. Because that's all you see when you go to the movies. You know, when they say God created man in his own image, it's like, ugh, that must be true, because man just loves to create characters and watch them suffer, you know? Okay, I'm going a little off the deep end there. I don't mean to offend anyone's religion or anything. I'm just trying to, you know, I look around and I see what I see and I base my theories on that, you know, and there's kids out there every day dying of starvation and malaria and God knows what else. And you can't tell me that if we created something like that, I just could never stoop that low as to create characters and do that to them. So, is that wrong of me? Is it wrong of me to care about the characters I create? Because maybe, you know, if you say that that is wrong, then maybe God's got someone up there who's telling him the same exact thing about us, you know, because we don't actually exist to him or something, you know? I mean, you could theorize about that all day, couldn't you? But maybe I shouldn't do that, because I'm just making an ass of myself if I do. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye, and I'm going to sign off of this LP once and for all. And if I decide to make that ending, I do. It'll be some little 2-minute thing, kind of like the Earthbound Nest Drops Off Paula video that I did a few months back. But that might not be for a while. I don't know if I'll ever even do it. Or I might just post the original one that I had someday or something, or I might redo it or something. I guess we'll see. Okay. But yeah, take care, everybody, and I will see you on Ocarina of Time. Bye.